Good evening, everyone. This is the 7 p.m. meeting, Subcommittee on Conference, to be held Wednesday, April 27th. And the following subject matter will be discussed. In order to amend Section 2-60A of the Code of Ordinances, City of Chelsea, Massachusetts, by striking the current language and replacing with the following. Effective the City Council term commencing January of the year 2024, members of the City Council shall receive an annual salary of $28,000. Officials invited to attend is all honorable members of the Chelsea City Council. We earlier had taken a roll call from the clerk. Same members are here, so we're not going to repeat that. I'll turn the floor over to the maker of this order, which was Councilor Todd Taylor.
Thank you. So we can, I suppose we continued this subcommittee on conference from the last time. I think we're all going to try to talk to constituents and see what they thought about it. The people that reached out to me basically said they had no objection. They thought it was fair. So I didn't get a single person that said, no, you guys should still be paid $14,000 a year. So I guess I'll ask any of my colleagues if they had any other feedback or any pushback from constituents.
Councilor Recupero.
Yeah, I had a lot of, one just called me a few minutes ago. That they think, they not object to giving us a pay raise. They object to the amount that we give in a pay raise. They object to doubling it up at one time. That's what they have issues with. They don't mind if we get a pay raise. There's nothing wrong with us getting a small pay raise like we did the last time, and then do it in increments. But I don't think they want us to double up our paychecks all of a sudden. I got a lot of feedback from that saying that they don't like that. They think it's wrong. But they have no complaints with giving us a small pay raise or a pay raise. It's nothing, they don't complain about that. They just complain about the amount that's the pay raise and doubling it up at one time.
Any other councilors want to speak?
I got feedback from people saying that the council does deserve a raise. Much of that raise, they don't really put a number on it. They think we're very underpaid compared to the surrounding communities around us, like Revere and Everett and Malden.
Councilor Vido.
So I got a bunch of mixed reviews. Some folks think that we should get paid more money. Some people think that there's also a misconception that we're giving ourselves a raise. So there's a lot of misinformation obviously circulating. And I really wish that there was a better way for us to get information out there, but we literally are doing all that we can. The other concern is that we don't deserve a pay raise because if we look around, we don't even have quorum right now. So like, what does that mean for the folks that don't show up? And I'm not saying that folks don't show up because I've been out and things happen in life and so I get it. But folks are a little concerned about the disparate. There are some counselors that really put in 100% and then there are others that don't. Personally, I believe that we do deserve a raise. I mean, I think, I don't know what that amount is. I think we should really look at other communities with the same population, with the same kind of needs, because it's really hard. Chelsea is super unique in a lot of the needs that we deal with, but I just think, I just wish that we could dig into it a little deeper. And I don't, I would hope that there would be a full council for us to have this conversation and really like chop it up a little deeper. I don't know what's going to happen after this conversation, but yeah, that's what I've heard.
Any further comments?
My only other comment, I think, is that I did hear some of this too, like, well, not all the counselors put in as much time as you know, certain counselors put in a lot more time than other counselors, and that's obvious. And, you know, what about these guys? You're just rewarding them for kind of, you know, showing up. You know, and I get that, but the thing is that we want to increase the, you know, the quality of our counselors too when they come to do it. And for $14,000, it just, like, people, when I have tried to get people to run for city council, it's one of the things why people always say no, is because it's too much of a pain, and people are always complaining and putting you down and all this stuff. And what do you get paid $14,000 a year? It's not worth the time and aggravation. And so, and me myself, I mean, being a relatively new counselor, I was really surprised about how much constituents work that there really is, and the amount of time and effort I go through trying, you know, being on the phone with people. Of course, I do give out my cell phone number so people call me, but still, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes on, and it, you know, it may be considered a part-time job, and I guess it is a part-time job, but it's a pretty busy part-time job. And so, and I still think $28,000 is part-time pay. So, you know, I think it's fair. It's comparable to what the other communities are getting, and you know, I think that this should go before the full city council and have a vote.
Councilor Recupero.
I disagree with a few things that Councilor says. For one, who determines what's a better class of people? So what, the councilors that are here, what do we stink? You know, that's, you can't, a person has to want to do this, not for the money. He wants to do it because he wants to help the people. That is the number one job of any elected official. It should be not for the glory of the money. I think that's the problem in all our nation, that it's for the money. It should be for the well-being of the people that you represent. And more money ain't gonna make any better counselors. More money isn't gonna create people running to the things for it. What it will create is, let me rephrase it. What it will create the wrong reason for doing it. The reason would be to make money, not to actually help the people. There's nothing wrong with Councilor Taylor wanting to give a pay raise. There's nothing wrong with wanting to give a pay raise. It's okay, but we don't have to give such a steep pay raise that we look to the constituents that we represent, say the only thing you want to do is give yourself money. We don't want to do that. We could have a system where we turn around and we give ourselves a small pay raise now. Then the next council, whoever's here, increases itself. Where we put something in effect that every time it will go up in increments. What's wrong with going up in increments? Increments is that's the way we did it here for 10 years. What is it? 8 years we haven't got a raise. 10 years we haven't had a raise. That should have been implemented the same way. It should have been implemented where we will give ourselves a raise automatically. And what's wrong with doing that now? We turn around, we'll get together and decide what is the amount we want to give us and put in effect that each council that comes up, or whoever is here, each 2 years gets an increment of an increase. And, you know, whatever, and there will be at the end of it, we'll all end up with the same, we'll increase the pay. You know, but it won't be all at one time to say double your pay, because doubling your pay at one time, what that would, you know, it's gonna, I'm in favor of giving us a raise, because we do work, and we do the things. But I don't believe that we should give ourselves double our pay at once.
Okay, since you're repeating yourself on that, we understand.
Yeah,
I'll let Counselor Vido speak. Erase him.
I have a question, and then I have a couple of comments. Do we know when was the last time that the city council gave themselves a raise at the salary increase, and what did we increase it from?
I believe it was in 2014. No, 2010, 2014, maybe? And it went from 8,000 to 14. 8,000 to 14, 6,000.
Okay, so it's been 8 years. And so I hear what the counselor is saying in terms of why don't we do it in increments, but in fairness, we haven't been doing it all these years, so we kind of have to play catch-up. I think the counter-argument too, and I don't look at it like the doubling the salary is gonna bring a better class of people, as much as it might make it easier for someone to be able to do this job if they can pay their light bill. Because I struggle. I'm gonna be honest. This is my salary, and I struggle, and I'm dependent on my husband's income, and I do this obviously not for the money, and I know that a lot of us do it because of the work that we're giving to our community, because we love our community. The other thing I wanted to say was, while it is technically a part-time job, the hours are so sporadic that it requires us to be available 24/7, literally 24/7. So yeah, it's a part-time job, but you literally have no life because God forbid someone passes away, you have to be present, or there's a fire, or there are different things, because we're not just showing up to meetings and taking votes, we have relationships in community. So honestly, I would be a fan of increasing the raise if that's the direction that we would go in. Yeah.
I just want to follow up with what a few of my colleagues have said. Sure.
We have to understand, we're not giving ourselves a raise. This raise is going to be going to the next city council, and any raises that take place has to be 18 months before the next election, so that it's...
We've been here a while.
Yes, but if the pay increases, that doesn't mean that there won't be people that want to
Of course.
come out and run.
I tried at the first meeting of this to give some background and did some research, and I ratted off some numbers. And to be honest, if you had listened to some of those numbers, even with this increase, we could hang our hat and say, as proposed by Councilor Taylor, we're still below all of our locals around here. And I think part of it is like, look, we understand we have to play so much catch-up that, yes, it seems like a dramatic, but even then, if I rattle off all of the pays of all of the communities around us, we're still below what other communities are paying, generally speaking. And I mean, not a one-off. I'm not saying, okay, just pick Somerville, which pays $44,000. No, you check 5 or 6 communities. Don't just pick one and say, oh, that's the base. No, do a general. See if there's any side payments also. As I stated, there are a few communities, not only is the base pay, but there's an extra kicked up for the president because they know this job pays, covers more time. There's also side benefits they don't write in there. Is Revere pays the stipend. They get $400, $600 a month to use whatever, and that's all, it's included when you pay your taxes, but not included on your...
How about at-larges? Do at-larges, I'm not suggesting, I'm just curious. Do at-larges typically, or...
It's uniform.
It's always uniform. Okay.
And, and again, some of those other communities include health insurance, which to a lot of us who are self-employed, hey, that's another $600 I got to pay out of pocket. So they get health insurance. We don't. So when all was said and done, I looked at the numbers and said, wow, we will still be below everybody else. We are playing catch-up. We could argue we're still below everybody else, so I wanted to say that. And you know, to the danger of trying to pick maybe another community similar size, I just keep on going back to this. I imagine we're doing the same level of work as Quincy, as Somerville. If I take a Somerville counselor, I bet you we're doing the same work that they are. I may even argue that ours is a little bit tougher given our community and how much more need that we do and everything else we're going out through. So, you know, a lot more problems to fix than some of the other communities.
Activism that goes on
You know,
here and-
and so, you know, yes, is it a dramatic increase of 50%? I get it, but I think it's because this hasn't been touched for so long, and, you know, we just want to keep up with the Joneses. So, and to address, you know, the question about maybe not all counselors are doing the same. You know, I know the school committee has some language in their rules or whatever to say attendance, participation may count. I mean, I would leave it to that section of the book, and I know one of our colleagues is heading that discussion. If someone wants to talk, hey, if you don't show up to X, whatever, you want to discuss it and say you get your pay docked, fine, have that discussion there. But you know, it is, other than that, we'd leave it, and I'd love to see it come, you know, I'd love to see if there's any other council that, you know, changes the pay or whatever if you don't go there. I think the voters decide whether or not they want to send somebody back up. If they see that their council is not doing his or her job or whatever, you know, let the voters decide, okay? But, Councilor Taylor.
I just wanted to say one other thing as a clarification. When I said that we want to have a better quality of person, has nothing to do, it only has to do with people that are doing the work. And I know that there's lots of people in Chelsea who actually couldn't afford to do this job because they have to be working. And so it's really to include people at the lower end of the income spectrum to be available. And there's a ton of those people who are dedicated enough and care enough and will put in the hours if they can financially hack it. So, I mean, that was my only point in talking about equality. It's you know, I'm in the employment business. So I know that the bigger the pool of people that I have, the more people I can get to, and that's all I'm saying, is to include more people at the lower end of the spectrum who can do it. And maybe they care enough to do it, but they just can't financially do it. So, you know, it is
So you
what
mean
it is.
lower level of the income spectrum?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councilor Recupero.
Okay, so here's what I propose. Why don't we increase it the same amount as we did before, $6,000, and get health insurance? And maybe go along with the health insurance, we get a stipend like Revere does, an account for us. And it all averages out in that way. I know you're gonna say, well, health insurance is gonna cost us twice as much. But why not? For people that don't have health insurance, why not? Isn't it worth to get your health insurance, and you get health insurance plus you get a moderate pay? You increase it $6,000, you get your health insurance, and you get maybe like Revere, a stipend for your expense. And it comes out to the same amount of money, more or less, or maybe what comes out to more money. So what? Don't you want health insurance?
I would say this.
Health in-
Councilor, go
Health
ahead.
insurance is $30,000 per counselor.
Yeah.
We're looking at $28,000. If you can't figure out how to pay for health insurance out of $28,600 a month, then you need to create some new math. I mean, you look,
But if you increase your $6,000 pay, you're gonna go to $20,000, and then you get your health insurance, and then you make, each time the council comes back up and he gets reelected, you're making your thing. Well, health insurance is too expensive?
You're asking for a $36,000 raise.
No, I'm not asking for any raise. I'm asking for health insurance for us.
Well,
So what if people don't have a job and they self-employed? You say you want more people to come here, right? Do you think that $28,000 is gonna bring a whole bunch of people and they're gonna leave their jobs to come and do this? That they're still gonna have to work. So if you want more, attract more, give them health insurance. What's wrong with giving all of us health insurance? There's many of us that might want the health insurance. There's nothing wrong with that. The city of Revere offers health insurance. They all have health insurance. Why can't we have health insurance? So you mean to tell me Revere makes that much money plus health insurance plus, and I went through that years ago, they get a stipend, health insurance. We're not asking for much.
I would say that if you want to go in this direction, to get an updated number from the city manager, what it would cost. We're going to have budget hearings soon, and you can ask what it would
But
cost.
it's gonna cost more than you
Factor
can
it in, but I would shy away from a stipend. I'd rather it just be included in the pay than separate. I
think
say,
it's
you know
a
what,
fair thing
just
for us to get.
just put it in my salary. I don't need 600 on the side or whatever per month. That makes just, I understand, but Revere
It's a
does
simple one.
some,
We get health insurance. There's nothing wrong with health insurance.
but again, I'm asking, do some research, find out from city manager what it would cost, and then say, all right, and then factor it in, and then say, if we do health insurance, then that covers something. I don't know how the numbers would work, but propose something first. Counselor, I'm sorry.
They used to have health
Clark.
insurance.
I just want to inform you that you're not considered an employee of the city. Health insurance is offered to employees of the city. Now, whether or not legally you can vote yourself,
But they say we are employees of the city.
you're not an employee
Well,
of the city.
technically, we're not, but we're getting the stipends from the city. But Paul, let me ask you a question. You've been here long enough. You've been here longer than any of us. Did the city councilors at one time get health insurance?
I never got it.
But at any time,
I
did they
don't think
get,
it was ever offered to us. It has to be offered to you.
Leo,
from
did
the
they get
city
health
manager.
insurance? I think they did.
Yeah, well, they only got $2,500.
But they still got health insurance, and it was legal then.
Well, yeah,
But it was done.
right, it had to be voted on. You raise a good point about the health insurance. You want 6,000 raise. So take 11 councilors at 30,000. Figure out what that number is. And then take the 28,000 by 11 and add that up and see what that cost is.
But listen, I mean, that's what the council president is saying. I think it's worth a conversation with the city manager, worth a conversation with the city
I already had that
solicitor,
conversation.
legal
They
counsel.
They say it costs twice as much for health insurance to
Yeah.
give us. But it's a good thing to give counselors. I'd rather take health insurance than another $6,000 in raise.
I think the argument here is, are we worth more? Whether it's health insurance, whether it's money, and the answer is yes. And not just us, but whoever is hired or
Yeah,
elected
whoever's here.
to represent.
'Cause who
So,
knows who the hell
so
is
I
gonna
think
be
that we're
here.
all in agreement, or the people that are here are in agreement that yes, so we just need to figure out what does that look like. And so we just need to
What
ask the
is the
questions.
amount that
Correct.
We gotta come to an amount, and maybe for the next councilors that come around, where they automatically get an increase. Like, we waited all these years. They should be incorporated that they automatically get an increase. You know, every time that there's up, either you get a cost of living adjustment, or you get an automatic increase. Each time there's a new council, it should go put in effect, okay, the new councils this year will increase $2,000 or $1,000, or they will get a cost of living adjustment. Everybody gets cost of living adjustment. That's what this council needs. It needs to look at ways for us to be a par,
But we're
but
not
not.
employees to get cost of living
Huh?
adjustment. We're not employees
Yes,
to
we're not
get COLAs.
employees, but we are the legislators.
Agreed. So there's further
instead of
homework.
us
There's more homework we need to do. There's more homework that we need to do.
Well, I don't know, I already did with the health insurance. Health insurance costs more money.
Okay.
That's what they're gonna do. It costs more money than the 8,000, but it's worth it in the long run.
But right now, what we're talking about is $28,000 salary.
Well, I'm in favor of $6,000. which will bring us to 20,000 or 21,000. That's fair. The last time, and then the next council after us and after them, they can vote themselves more raise.
So what happens to those of us who have insurance? Are we gonna get paid that same amount of money that the councils
But
are
if
gonna
you've got
get?
insurance, you can use the other insurance. I got 3 insurances. I don't have one. I got 3. So some of your insurance might not cover what the other one covers.
But then somebody's getting a $30,000 insurance, you're not, don't you want those $30,000? Like, why, you see what I'm saying? So it just creates a two-tiered system.
I understand where you're coming from, but I also understand, you look at all, you're talking equality with all the councils and around us, right? They have health insurance.
Some of them
And we should just
do.
be talking about the salary.
Some of them do, and actually, City of Everett has phased it out, and any new counselors cannot get health insurance anymore.
The old ones have it, but the new ones don't.
That's correct. So, and if you were an example of, say, Leo, who served 10 years ago, left, and then get reelected and come back, he's grandfathered in and can still do it. But from now on, every new counselor no longer gets health insurance because, again, it's
But
simplicity
Roy,
for everything.
even within our city itself, right?
Yes.
Once you retire and you hit 62 or 65, the city doesn't, now is a new thing. We were there when they did it. The city doesn't pay your health insurance anymore. It goes to Medicaid. You automatically go. So, for older counselors or whatever it is, you don't get health insurance, for the years, because the city doesn't give it to you anymore. It takes it away. So, more or less, what you're asking for is, right now you're there. You should get help. There's nothing wrong with you getting health insurance, or even if it costs more. You can't take it when you retire. If you stay here long enough, and you're like a grandfather, you're 32 years or whatever you are, you can't take your health insurance with you, because the city does not offer it. The city does not even offer the same thing when you retire as a counselor. There's A, B, C, whatever it is. There's all different things.
I'm just curious about, what do we do now?
Well, it's going to be up to Councilor Taylor if he wants to, at some point, either continue this and have another meeting, or at some point, bring this up in front of the city council and put it up for a motion for a vote. As it reads, his original motion calls for $28,000. If he wants to amend it himself, or if any other counselor wants to propose an amendment to the amount, we'll have a vote on the amendment of the amount, and then we'll have a vote for all councils and see if it passes.
Nothing wrong with giving yourself $6,000 raise. We earned it. I think it's good, and I believe
Okay.
we should get health insurance. It's up. Let the rest of the councils decide.
Okay.
I think it's a good, valid point. There's nothing wrong with getting health
Okay,
insurance.
you've stated your opinion. We know where you feel you're at, so we'll figure out what it's up to Council Taylor to bring it up to the city council. So, if there's Council Taylor, do you have any closing remarks before we end this meeting?
No, I think we've pretty much gone over everything, so I look forward to a full vote on the city council.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.